All right. This is the father of the opinionator here. Um, First of all, Donald Trump gets a bad rap for everything that he says. Um, why shouldn't he? Donald Trump is the president of the United States, the president of the best world, best country on the planet. He should learn how to bite his tongue. I mean, I'm sorry that, a lot of people think that, oh, that's okay. He's just being real. He's just being honest, etc., etc. We live in a very volatile world with very easily manipulated people. And when the leader of the free world, quote unquote, uses particular language, makes particular statements, all of those people, all of those sheep, if you will, those listening intensely are taking notes, right? They're using the leader of this country, their leader, right? The people they support and they back to make up their mind and their decisions on how they feel about a particular subject or a topic or a situation. Doesn't matter. They're, people who are easily impressionable, right? Those people who can't decide on their own between what's right, what's wrong, what's moral, what's immoral. These are the people who are the most dangerous people. And these people vote. So when Donald Trump says, even remotely close, even if the things he says are even remotely close to being racist, right? Homophobic or insensitive to whatever the fuck, okay? The moment he makes those statements, the people that even feel remotely close to those things, right? It's all about interpretation here, right? It isn't just simply, Donald Trump saying whatever he wants to say and people overreacting. People are impressionable. People can be swayed very easily. And if they already feel a certain way about a certain topic, if the leader of their country somehow even remotely close feels the same way as they do, they latch on to that. They're going to hold on to that. That type of mentality, that type of, misinterpretation, that type of misinterpretation can cause people to, act in certain ways, right? Now, in regards to the, you know, immigration, etc. situation, nobody at all is making the statement that these people who are entering the country illegally need to be given free rights, free passes, free money, blah 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 blah. Okay, nobody is really making those types of statements. What the problem is, the problem that people have in terms of, their complaint about the immigration rules or the rules that are trying to be put in play or the wall, however you want to label immigration. First of all, it's always been a problem. It will continue to forever be a problem. Okay, that's just the United States was built on immigration. Okay, I mean, it's the bottom line. Now, of course, we agree. We all agree. We can't just have people, coming and going as they please in terms of the border, the country, etc. Right? It's the narrative here that people have a problem with. Right? It's the narrative that's being painted, the picture that's being created. Okay, that is the problem. That's the people that you call snowflakes. Right? Those are the ones. Those liberal, bleeding heart motherfuckers. Those are the ones. Okay, who are trying to bring home the point that we can't paint pictures with the reality of the world that we live in, okay? What do I mean by that? Well, when you paint a brush, right, you take your paintbrush out and say you got a 4-inch paintbrush and you You dip it in a bucket of blue paint and you splash that across a canvas, right? You're now creating a 4-inch wide, however long streak of blue paint, right? But let's say I dunked it in some red paint before putting it in the blue paint, and I did that same stroke. Well, I'm gonna have a lot more blue than I am red, okay? And what that means here is that the actual facts that exist, the actual numbers, the statistics, etc., all of the things that can be verified, right, are getting lost in the blue paint, right? All of the things that truly do matter are being lost within the blue paint, because the picture that's being painted in regards to immigration is that of one of, right, rape, murder, right, crime, you name every single talking point that you want about immigration and the bad side of immigration, okay? Are there good sides to immigration? There can be, right? There can be. A lot of the companies that, listen, I worked for a company, very, very famous company called Coca-Cola, right? I worked there for a very long time. And in that time period, at least a dozen of the people that I worked with were illegal immigrants, okay? Now, am I saying that makes it okay? No, I'm not saying it makes it okay, but I'm saying that if we really broke down the numbers of the people who are employed in this country who do jobs that nobody else wants to do, okay? That number of illegal immigrants is going to be very high, right? Does that mean that we should have illegal immigrants? No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that, unfortunately, the way that our country is and the way that our country runs, they're legal immigrants are a pretty big part of our economic structure, period, right? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything to anybody, right? It can only mean something to the people who are directly affected by it. Unfortunately, that's the entire conversation here is all about who's affected by the words that are being said. And the other problem here that these snowflakes have, right, is the treatment of the people coming to this country illegally. All right, now, why would a parent take his child, right, and put him in danger trying to navigate their way into the United States of America? Well, listen, unfortunately, we don't know that person's intent, right? We can't possibly know because unfortunately they're dead, right? Both of them are dead, unfortunately. But listen, man, you have to come to a level of perception in which you're seeing things from the eyes of somebody else. Now, again, right, we can't talk to this person, so we can't get a clear and precise answer as to why he risked his child's life to come to America. But listen, I have to imagine the alternative was much, much worse. Okay? The alternative. What's the alternative? Well, we don't know. We don't know what that person's life was like. But we can make some assumptions. Okay? We can make some assumptions. We can assume that life in Mexico for that particular person and his child were very, very, very bad. Right? We can make that assumption. Now, we could also make the assumption that he, literally just wanted to put his child's life in danger. It seems like a ridiculous assumption to make, but we could do that. We could easily do that. And I think that's, that's the blue paint that's being used, right? Is to just simply say that this guy was a cold-hearted individual and he didn't care enough about his child, and so therefore he placed his child in danger. I feel like that's an unfair assumption, but we'll never know. And it isn't just about that guy and his kid, right? It's about the children that are being taken from their parents at the border as well. We're talking about the treatment of human beings, whether those human beings are entering the country illegally or not. We, as a country, we as a large law-abiding country, right? We put the people in place to protect the laws we have. Those are, police officers, right? Those are border patrol agents. FBI, CIA, right? We put all those people in place to protect us, to protect the laws that we have in place here, right? If we are holding a group of people responsible for protecting the laws in this country, right? We're also telling them that their job is to protect us as citizens, but we're also holding them at a much higher level of moral accountability. We are saying that these people, because we've given them the power to control and govern our laws and our safety, we hold them at a higher moral standard than we do anybody else. I wouldn't want to do that job. I wouldn't want to be a police officer given a split-second notice to make a decision on whether or not my life is more important than somebody else's life, or if somebody else's life is more important than somebody else's life. I am not in the position to make that call mentally, ever. I don't think anybody is, okay? So, since that's such a hard decision to make, right, we give these people the tools to make better, more humane decisions, right? We're not just out here shooting people, okay? And that's good. That's great. It's great we're not doing that. But there are people who are, right? But the point is, if the people who are supposed to be taking the moral high ground in deciding the treatment of people who are entering this country illegally, if they're making horrible, immoral decisions on human lives, I don't see where that's acceptable. I don't understand how that's acceptable, okay? These people have indeed committed a crime by entering the country illegally. They have, without a doubt. But I do not think that the crime meets the punishment of being separated from your children, being put into a piece of shit cell. These people are not prisoners. These people are trying to look for a better life. And yet we subtract that portion of the intent from the conversation, right? We say, here's the conversation. These people are entering the country illegally, and therefore they're breaking the law, and therefore we're going to treat them however we choose. Okay, I mean, that's what the fucking law broadly says, right? That's the brushstrokes of the law. But we're humans. We're human beings. If we cannot find a common ground of understanding for the actions that these people, why are they doing the things that they're doing? If we can't begin to understand why they may be doing what they're doing, we can't ever begin to treat them correctly. Okay, it's a tough conversation. I get it. It really is. It's hard to give a fuck about somebody else's life, but at the same time, as human beings, that's really our only function. Okay, if you talk about the grand scale of the animal kingdom, okay, our main goal and function in our animal species is to just simply treat the rest of us, the rest of the animals, the rest of the human animals, with a little bit of dignity and respect. That's it. It's a very simple process. So libtards is indeed a great word. That's actually the word I was looking for earlier. I've I don't like to put myself in a position of a label, right? That's just how I feel personally. I like to believe what I believe without it being labeled as such, right? And why is that? Why do I feel that way? Because you know what? Again, it's the broad brushstrokes that come along with these labels, right? So automatically I'm a libtard, so therefore automatically I believe this and I believe that, right? I'm an atheist, so automatically I believe this and I believe that. Perception is amazing. A single word can change how somebody thinks about something, anything at all. And that's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Now, I don't mind being called a libtard. I don't really give a fuck. That's fine with me. But at the end of the day, the conversations that we have with each other in regards to the differences that we have, unfortunately, again, really just come down to the words that we use, right? I'll give you an example. You made a statement. You said you don't really have a problem with anybody in your video here. And then you immediately follow that up with the word but. Right? So what that means is that everything you just said is kind of forgotten at that point, right? Oh, this guy doesn't have a problem with anybody, but, right? Now, I've been stopping my recording, listening, and responding to the portions of your video here. So I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna jump back into that. All right, the never-ending conversation about guns. Listen, here's the thing. I'm not gonna delve too deep into what you said here about guns, mainly because I agree. Right, the United States of America. Every citizen in the country should have the ability to own a gun. Right, that's how it should be. I agree with that 110%. Right, what I don't agree with though, and what most people don't agree with, okay, isn't necessarily the rights of guns. It's the ease at which people can get the guns. Right, not only that, it's not only the ease, but it's also the additions. Right, that can be purchased from a manufacturer who is, technically skirting what laws exist by taking particular firearms, right, making them semi-automatic, right, however, calling it a pistol because the barrel is only, this long, so the barrel is only this long, so therefore it doesn't qualify as a rifle. It now qualifies as a pistol. But this pistol here can fire, semi-automatic rounds, 40 rounds in, 10 seconds. I'm sure it's less than that. Okay, that's what the problem is. That's what the problem most people have about guns is the availability for the average person to go buy a high-powered semi-automatic weapon. These are weapons of war. These are weapons that are designed to kill quickly. Okay, now the majority of the mass shootings that we hear about and have heard about in the last, 4-5 years have all involved some form of semi-automatic, completely 100% legal firearms. Would those same people, those same people who created and caused these ridiculous losses of life, would they have been as effective in that loss of life, say they were carrying around a shotgun? Maybe, but probably not. Or how about a pistol, right? How about an actual pistol? How about a 9mm? I don't know how many bullets a 9mm clip holds, okay? But let's say you got a 9mm, it holds holds 10 bullets, right? How effectively are you going to kill 10 people with 10 bullets with a pistol? Probably pretty effectively, right? But again, it wouldn't be to the same extent as it is with these unnecessary weapons that we have access to. That's really what the biggest argument is, right? Chris Rock, you know who Chris Rock is. He one time said that we should just charge more for the bullets, right? Keep the guns, just charge more for the bullets. It's a viable option to deter people from, shooting off fucking 100 rounds in 30 seconds, right? Is it or not? I don't know. We don't know, right? Here's the thing though. Again, of all the mass murderers and ridiculous amounts of, bodies that have been laid on the ground in the last 4 to 5 years alone, alone in the last 4 to 5 years. How many people have been killed in 2019 in regards to mass murders? I believe it's over 250 people in 2019. It's, August? 8 months into the year. So yeah, it's not about people having guns. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Yeah, it goes without saying. Okay, that's like saying a parked car is dangerous. Right? It's not the same thing in any way. But people, normal everyday people, should have a lot harder time obtaining the weapons used in these shootings. They should have a hard time getting those things. As a matter of fact, they shouldn't be able to get any of them. But yet, because of the country we live in, the capitalism that we have, people can buy all sorts of amazing things to turn themselves into a single person army. All right. So listen, I'm gonna close this out here because I think we're about 20 minutes in. Um, your views on Trump are not wrong. Your views on Trump are not incorrect. What's incorrect is giving this guy a pass to be as ignorant as he wants to be. That's the problem. The president of the United States, a position that has held very, very, very high esteem throughout the entire world, okay, is a very fragile thing. The United States, we kind of set the standard for the rest of the world to some extent. And when the representative of our country says the things he says and acts the way he acts, it gives us all a bad image in the minds of the rest of the world. Should we care about that? We shouldn't care about that, okay? But when you are talking about that effect in terms of war, in terms of politics, those two things are very, very real in the world that we live in. And when leaders of these worlds stand on a podium or Twitter, right, and say the things that they say, other leaders of other parts of the world take note, right? They need to see where the strength of the United States, where does it stand, right? And when your president is kind of a bumbling idiot, it makes us stand in a bad position. So here's the thing, though. Trump is going to win again. He's going to be elected again in 2020, without a doubt. The amount of people that follow him is way, way, way larger than anybody else. And as a matter of fact, I think as of even today's date, August 12th, even as today, August 12th, I don't believe that there are any Republicans currently running against Donald Trump in the 2020 election. Maybe they're going to come out later. I don't know. But there's a ton of Democrats running, and I don't think any of them stand a chance.